Welcome to Through the Fire, the podcast where we explore how to navigate life's challenges and find opportunities for growth. I'm your host, Ariana.
And I'm Travis. We're so glad you're here with us today because we're tackling a big one. A word that gets thrown around so much, it's almost lost its meaning. Burnout.
Right? It's become a catch-all for feeling tired or stressed, but true burnout is a different beast entirely. It's a state of profound exhaustion that can impact every corner of your life.
And it's something I think we've both navigated personally. It's not just a theoretical concept for us, it's lived experience.
Absolutely. And that's why we want to have this conversation, to strip away the buzzword and talk about what it really feels like, the sneaky ways it shows up, and most importantly, how to find your way back from it.
This isn't just about surviving burnout. It's about seeing it as a powerful signal for change. A chance to build a more sustainable and, honestly, a more joyful life. So, let's get into it.
So, Travis, let's really define this thing. What's the difference between being really stressed and being truly burned out?
That's the key question, isn't it? Stress is often characterized by overengagement. You have too much pressure, too many demands, you feel a sense of urgency, and you're racing to keep up.
It's like you're drowning in responsibility, but you're still fighting, still kicking.
Exactly. Burnout, on the other hand, is characterized by disengagement. The fight is gone. You feel empty, devoid of motivation, and you just don't care anymore. It's a sense of helplessness. Stress is, I can't handle all this, while burnout is, I can't anymore.
That's such a powerful distinction, and the World Health Organization actually defines it by 3 specific dimensions. We touched on them earlier, but let's go deeper. The first is that overwhelming exhaustion.
And this isn't just I need a good night's sleep tired. This is deep, bone-deep fatigue that a weekend off doesn't fix. It's feeling depleted emotionally, mentally, and physically.
The second dimension is that cynicism or detachment. Your work, which might have once felt meaningful, now feels like a pointless chore. You might feel irritable or impatient with colleagues or clients.
It's like a protective shield goes up. You emotionally withdraw to cope with the exhaustion. You stop bringing your whole self to the table because you simply don't have the energy.
And the third piece is that feeling of ineffectiveness. You doubt your ability to do your job well. You feel like you're spinning your wheels, accomplishing nothing, and your confidence plummets.
And those 3 things feed each other in a vicious cycle. You're too exhausted to be effective, which makes you feel cynical about your work, which drains you even more. It's a downward spiral that can feel impossible to escape.
So, knowing that, how do you spot it before you're in that full-blown spiral? The warning signs can be subtle at first.
They really can. Let's talk about the physical signs. For me, it was chronic headaches. I had a tension headache that just lived in my skull for about 6 months straight.
I get that. For me, it was digestive issues and just getting sick all the time. My immune system was clearly waving a giant white flag. What else shows up physically?
Trouble sleeping is a classic one. Either you can't fall asleep because your mind is wired, or you wake up at 3 a.m. with your heart pounding with anxiety about your to-do list. Also, changes in appetite, or just a general feeling of being run down.
Then there are the emotional signs, which can be even harder to pinpoint. I remember feeling so irritable. My poor boyfriend at the time couldn't do anything right. The smallest thing would set me off.
A sense of dread is a big one. That Sunday scaries feeling, but it starts on Friday afternoon. You're just constantly dreading the work week ahead.
Also, a feeling of being trapped or helpless, like there's no way out. And a loss of enjoyment in things you used to love, not just at work, but in your personal life too. Your hobbies start to feel like another chore.
Absolutely. And that leads right into the behavioral signs. How does burnout make us act?
Isolating yourself is a big one. You don't have the energy for social interaction, so you start canceling plans and pulling away from people who care about you.
Procrastination is another. You're staring at a task that you know how to do, but you just can't bring yourself to start it. It feels like climbing Mount Everest.
Or it's opposite, frantic, unproductive activity. You're busy all the time, but not actually getting anything important done. It's the illusion of productivity to mask the feeling of ineffectiveness.
And of course, using unhealthy coping mechanisms. Maybe you're drinking more than usual or zoning out with junk food or endless screen time just to numb the feelings of exhaustion and dread.
Hearing all this brings me right back to my time at that marketing agency. The culture was all about the hustle. Rise and grind wasn't just a motto, it was a religion.
I know that culture well. It's toxic.
It is. I was a top performer, and my identity got completely wrapped up in that. Ariana, the one who always delivers, who never says no. And I got rewarded for it, which just reinforced the behavior.
So your sense of self-worth was directly tied to your productivity.
100%. I remember being on vacation, standing on a beautiful beach, and I couldn't relax because I was obsessively checking my email, terrified I'd miss something. I wasn't really there at all.
That's the detachment. Right there. You're not present in your own life.
Exactly. And the crash, when it came, it was that meeting I mentioned. My mind just went completely blank. After that, I couldn't shake this brain fog. I'd forget words, miss deadlines, all the things that were never me. It felt like my own mind was betraying me. I was so ashamed.
That sounds devastating. My story as a freelancer was different but had the same core elements. The lack of boundaries was the killer. A client would email at 9 p.m., and I'd feel obligated to respond immediately.
Because if you don't, you worry they'll find someone who will.
Precisely. The line between work and life didn't just blur, it completely disappeared. My studio was in my apartment, so I was literally living at the office. I stopped making art for myself. Every ounce of creativity was monetized.
So the passion becomes a prison.
That's a perfect way to put it. My breaking point wasn't a single dramatic moment like yours, but 1,000 tiny cuts. It was the panic attack over the client revision. It was realizing I hadn't seen my friends in months. It was looking in the mirror and not recognizing the exhausted, anxious person looking back at me. I just felt hollowed out.
Hearing our stories, it's so clear that burnout isn't a personal failing. It's not a sign of weakness. It's often a very normal human response to a dysfunctional environment. Researchers have actually identified 6 key areas in the workplace that can create the conditions for burnout. It's not just about working too hard. So let's pivot to the hope, because there is hope. Once you're in that hollowed out place, how do you start to fill yourself back up? Where do you begin?
For me, the non-negotiable first step was setting boundaries. And I mean real, hard boundaries. It's one of the most difficult but most transformative things you can do.
What did that look like? Because set boundaries sounds great, but it's hard to implement.
I started with time boundaries. I defined my work hours and stuck to them. I put an autoresponder on my email after 6 p.m. that said I would reply the next business day. I was terrified I'd lose clients.
And did you?
Not a single one. In fact, I think they respected me more for it. Then there are digital boundaries, like turning off notifications on your phone, and emotional boundaries, like learning not to take on other people's stress as your own.
That leads so well into the next tool, which is rediscovering true rest. We often think rest is just the absence of work, but it's an active skill.
I love the concept of the 7 types of rest. It's not just about sleeping.
Exactly. There's physical rest, which can be passive, like sleeping, or active, like yoga. There's mental rest, giving your mind a break from problem solving. There's sensory rest from bright lights and screens.
There's creative rest, allowing yourself to appreciate beauty without creating anything. Emotional rest, which is having the space to express your feelings freely. Social rest, spending time with life-giving people and avoiding draining ones. And spiritual rest, connecting to something bigger than yourself.
When you see it like that, you realize just collapsing on the couch in front of the TV isn't hitting most of those needs. You have to be intentional about what kind of rest you need and seek it out.
And the third and maybe most important tool is finding support. Burnout thrives in isolation.
It really does. The shame keeps you silent. Reaching out is an act of courage. That could be talking to your partner, a trusted friend, or your manager if you have a safe relationship there.
And let's normalize seeking professional help. A therapist is an objective guide who can help you identify the patterns that led to burnout and equip you with strategies to build a healthier way of living and working.
There's no shame in it. You'd see a doctor for a broken arm. You should see a therapist for a burnt-out mind. It's about getting the right expert for the injury.
As difficult as that period of my life was, I wouldn't trade it. It was the wake-up call I desperately needed.
I feel the exact same way. It forced me to stop sleepwalking through a life that was built on external validation and societal pressure. It made me get quiet and ask myself what I actually wanted.
It's the ultimate reset button. Burnout isn't a dead end. It's a signal that the path you're on has come to an end and it's time to find a new one. It's an invitation to build a life that is more aligned with your values.
The breakdown before the breakthrough. It gives you the gift of self-awareness. You learn your limits. You learn what truly energizes you and what drains you. You learn to be your own advocate.
And you carry that knowledge forward. You build new habits, new systems, and a new definition of success that includes well-being as a non-negotiable metric.
Absolutely. Prevention is key. And for me, the bedrock of a burnout-proof life is radical clarity on your values. If you don't know what's fundamentally important to you, you'll constantly be pulled in directions that drain your energy.
That's so true. It's about defining what a rich life means to you. And it's probably not about having the most impressive job title. Once you know your values, you can use them as a filter for every decision you make, both big and small. And this isn't just a philosophical exercise. It has practical applications. For example, one of my core values is creativity. When I was burning out, I realized I'd completely abandoned my personal creative projects. Now, I schedule time for them with the same seriousness as a client meeting. It's non-negotiable. I have a recurring event in my calendar called Creative Sandbox. And during that time, I don't answer emails, I don't take calls, I just make things for the sake of making them. It has been incredibly restorative.
I love that. It's about treating your well-being with the same respect you give your professional commitments. Another practical tool is what I call proactive rest. Don't wait until you're exhausted to take a break. Schedule short breaks throughout your day. Even 5 minutes of stretching or looking out a window can make a huge difference. So if you're listening today and you feel seen in our stories, please hear this. There is nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You are a human being who has been under too much stress for too long.
Be gentle with yourself. The journey back takes time. It starts with one small, compassionate choice. Maybe that's closing your laptop on time tonight. Maybe it's calling that friend you've been meaning to talk to. Just start there.
But before we wrap up, I think it's important to talk about the after. Once you've started to heal, how do you build a life that's more resistant to burnout in the first place? It's not just about recovery, it's about prevention. That's our time for today on Through the Fire. Thank you so much for sharing this space with us. Remember, recognizing burnout and actively managing it is a work in progress. No one gets it the first go around.
Exactly. Take your time. Be kind to yourself.
These are conversations that are needed. Too many people feel like they are at the end of their ropes. Don't let that be you.
We hope this has been helpful. Take good care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you next time.